Of course, here is the expanded version of Chapter 1. Most men are taught a dangerous and ultimately self-destructive lie, that the pinnacle of love and respect is to treat a woman's every utterance as sacred scripture, her passing emotions, as profound truths, and her promises as unbreakable contracts carved in stone. This approach feels noble. It feels like the ultimate form of devotion, the mark of a good guy who is finally doing it right. He hangs on every syllable, analyzes every text for hidden meaning, and believes that if he can just honor the intensity of her feelings in this moment, he will earn her unwavering loyalty. But this is the foundation of his own future pain, is building his entire understanding of the relationship and of her on a foundation that is not solid but fluid. Her words are rarely permanent edicts, are snapshots of a specific moment, colored by a specific mood, a fleeting reflection. In a moving stream, her feelings are not a climate. They are weather sunny one hour, stormy the next, and always subject to change without notice. Her promises are sincere in the moment they are made, but they are bound by the emotional state that birthed them, not by the cold, hard logic of permanence that a man's mind naturally seeks. To take all of this with absolute, unwavering seriousness is the fastest way to lose yourself. You set yourself up to be blindsided, confused, and ultimately destroyed because you invested in a reality that was never fixed. When the tide of her emotions inevitably changes, the castle you built on the sand of her yesterday's words will collapse, and you will be left standing in the wreckage, not understanding that the problem wasn't the tide, but your choice of construction site. You believed you were building a fortress of respect, but you were only ever building a monument to your own misunderstanding. Of course, here is the expanded version of Chapter 2. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. This fundamental misunderstanding leads men to make a critical error. They confuse frantic reactivity with genuine respect. They operate under the belief that a woman's emotional state is a problem to be solved, a fire that must be put out immediately by their own hands. Every sigh is a puzzle to decode. Every moment of silence is a potential offense that must be investigated, and every complaint is a project plan waiting to be drafted. They believe this constant state of high alert and problem-solving is the hallmark of a devoted partner, the very definition of being attentive and caring. In reality, it is a form of suffocation that drains both parties. The man becomes a reactive servant to her emotional weather, perpetually scrambling to bring an umbrella for rain he didn't see coming, all while exhausting himself in the process. He becomes an emotional sponge, saturated with the storms she expresses, heavy and waterlogged with drama that was never his to carry. This is not what women want. They do not desire a man who loses his own center the moment she loses hers. Unconsciously, and often without any malice, a woman's emotional fluidity serves as a test. It is a primal probe to gauge the strength of the man beside her. When she shifts her story from one day to the next, contradicts a previously stated desire, or vents in extreme emotion, she is, in a way, checking the structural integrity of his character. She is asking, without using the words, "If I am lost in this storm, will you be the lighthouse? Or will you jump into the turbulent water with me and drown too?" The man who fails this test is the one who immediately attempts to fix the weather, who panics and tries to align the world with her Monday night declaration that is no longer true on Friday morning. He believes he is being supportive, but he is merely proving that his own stability is conditional on hers. He demonstrates that he can be controlled, moved, and shaken by her every passing whim. This reactive state is the antithesis of strength. It communicates a desperate need for her emotional state to be stable so that he can feel stable, which is a burden no one should be asked to bear. Of course, here is the expanded version of Chapter 3. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The man who navigates this dynamic successfully is not a stoic, unfeeling statue, nor is he a frantic problem solver. His power lies in a paradoxical blend of groundedness and playful strength. He is the lighthouse, not the lifeboat. His role is not to race into the storm, but to provide a steady, reliable beam that guides the way home. This man understands that her emotional expressions are not always literal emergencies. He does not feel compelled to argue every contradiction into a logical consensus or to dissect a dramatic outburst as if it were a legal document. Instead, he possesses the emotional intelligence to differentiate between a passing squall and a genuine crisis. This allows him to respond with a calm smile instead of a panicked reaction, to offer a light tease that diffuses tension rather than a serious lecture that amplifies it. His energy is not heavy or burdensome. It is light, magnetic, and self-assured. He remains the author of his own actions, refusing to let her moods dictate his own. This is not a strategy of dismissal, but one of profound leadership. By not attending every single one of her emotional performances, he communicates that his time, energy, and emotional state are valuable, and not so icily commandeered. He reserves his serious engagement for the moments that truly warrant it. And this discernment is what makes his attention so meaningful when he does give it. This unshakable frame is the ultimate attractor. It proves, without a word of debate, that he is a man of substance who cannot be puppeteered by external chaos. He provides the solid ground she secretly craves to crash against. His playful smirk in the face of her dramatics isn't a sign he doesn't care. It's a signal of his immense capacity to handle it. He is the calm port in the storm, and that is an intoxicatingly rare and valuable thing to find. This ability to remain rooted in his own reality, while allowing her the space to exist in hers, creates a powerful polarity where she can feel truly feminine, fluid, emotional, and expressive, because he's embodying the masculine principles of stability, structure, and calm. He doesn't get lost in her illusion, holds the space for it, and that is the foundation of true desire. Of course, here is the expanded version of Chapter 4. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. This approach is often misconstrued as a form of detachment or a lack of care. But this is a fundamental misreading of its purpose. The core of the philosophy is not to devalue the woman, but to correctly value her true nature by refusing to imprison her in a cage of logical accountability that she was never designed to inhabit. The critical distinction lies in understanding that her words are often the vehicle for an emotion, not a literal statement of fact or a permanent commitment. When a man learns to listen to the feeling behind the words rather than dissecting the words themselves, he unlocks an entirely new level of connection. He stops trying to hold her to a standard of consistency that is foreign to her emotional framework. This shift grants her an incredible sense of freedom, the freedom to be human without immediate judgment, to process her inner world externally, without fear that every offhand comment or hyperbolic expression will be taken as a binding contract and used against her later. She can vent a frustration without her partner internalizing it as a personal failure or launching into a defensive debate. She can express a contradictory feeling without seeing the panic in his eyes or being met with a spreadsheet of her previous statements. This creates an atmosphere of profound psychological safety. In this space, she doesn't have to self-censor or pre-filter her emotions through a logic processor before sharing them. She can simply be in all her fluid, messy human complexity. It is within this safety that real trust is built, not the brittle trust of never making a mistake, but the resilient trust of being fully known and not rejected. Her emotional waves can crash against him without knocking him over or causing him to retreat. She learns that he is a true sanctuary. This is the paradox. By relinquishing the desperate need to control the narrative through logic and literal interpretation, by ceasing to demand that her emotional language conform to his logical one, he actually builds a far stronger and more authentic bond. He values her enough to let her be exactly who she is in the moment, and in return, she values him for providing the stable container that makes such honesty possible. This is the antithesis of not caring. It is the deepest form of respect for her entire being, of course. Here is the expanded version of Chapter 5. Asterisk, 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 the ultimate objective then. It's not merely to succeed in a relationship, but to undergo a personal transformation into the unshakable man. This is the man who has moved beyond the exhausting cycle of reaction and has instead chosen to become the stable point of reference in any emotional climate. His strength is not a loud, performative masculinity, but a quiet, deep-seated confidence that comes from self-possession. He has finally internalized the truth that a woman's emotional world is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be understood and navigated. He observes her actions with a calm detachment, knowing they will always reveal more than her fleeting words. He understands that his power lies in maintaining polarity by being the calm to her storm, the playful tease to her drama, the logical anchor to her emotional waves. This isn't about being cold or distant. It is about providing the consistent structure within which her fluidity can safely exist. He leads not by issuing commands, but by holding his frame, by making decisions from a place of inner conviction rather than from a fear of her reaction. This man loves more authentically because he has relinquished the fantasy of who he thought she should be and has instead accepted the reality of who she is. He loves the whole person, not just the convenient parts. In doing so, he achieves the most crucial victory. He loves without losing himself, never sacrifices his mission, his values, or his peace of mind on the altar of her momentary emotions. This is the essence of true masculine strength. It is the ability to be fully present and engaged without being enmeshed and consumed. It is the rock that the wave crashes against, not once, but 1,000 times, and remains. And this is the man who is not easily forgotten. He is rare. He is valued not for what he provides materially, but for the immovable psychological safety. He embodies a world of boys who are tossed about by every gust of emotion. He is the man who stands firm. And that unwavering presence is the most powerful attractor, the deepest form of respect, and the very foundation of a love that can endure not because it is perfect, but because it is real and resilient.